It's Rhema Breakfast. You're with Andrew this morning, and men's health. Can we talk about it? I mean, that's a genuine question, guys. Can we talk about it? Do we know how to talk about it this morning? Often we need a little bit of help. And so joining me this morning to help us talk about men's health, especially at a time such as this, Kent Johns joins us today. G'day there, Kent.
Andrew, thanks very much for having me.
Look, I just think it's a brilliant thing that you're doing here. And we were chatting a little bit off air as well. Even having this conversation with blokes, something about, I don't know if it's unique to New Zealand or being a guy in general, but gosh, it's hard work getting us to look after ourselves sometimes, isn't it?
You're not wrong. And this is what I've come to realise, because I had my own health issues a few years ago and I was really struggling mentally and also physically. And I came to realise that I wasn't making time for my own health and well-being, Andrew. And This is where the rubber meets the road for so many of us. If we don't have the time, or more importantly, if we don't make the time to look after ourselves, something's gone wrong. We're the most important person in our own lives. We've only got one. We only get one crack at this thing. If we don't look after ourselves, how can we get the best out of ourselves to be the best people that we want to be? So we need to shift our focus from being busy for everybody else and looking after everybody and being the provider and being the staunch dad and the friend and whatever that might be, to actually being engaged in our own well-being. Because if we can do that, we are going to be better people to look after those in our lives that we love.
That's brilliant. As you're saying that, you're making me think that it could just be about reframing what we think it means to be a good bloke, right? Because you're right, that whole idea of being that stoic, get out there, get things done, don't complain, just get on with it. There's a dimension of that, which I think is good and proper, but also to think actually looking after myself is part of being a good bloke. Because I've got people who depend on me, who want me around to look after them, to look after the grandkids, to be a good uncle or a good brother. And if we're not there, they're missing out too.
For sure. And we've got to tell ourselves that, man, if I want to be the best version of myself, which most of us, all of us want to be, right? Yeah. Then I have to make the time for myself. It's not selfish to put self-care at the top of your priority list.
Ooh, that's
It's
good.
not selfish. Too many men think it is selfish, but it's not. And look, I've learnt the hard way. You've probably been through some struggles yourself, Andrew, ups and downs with life. And we all know of people who have died too soon, whether it be in their 40s or their 50s with a heart attack. Yeah. People start getting sick with chronic disease in their 50s and 60s. Depression's at an all-time high. Burnout is at ridiculously high levels in New Zealand. Really sad state of affairs out there. And a lot of the stuff is preventable. But in order to do that, we must act. And acting might be just simply going to the doctor for a once-a-year checkup and seeing it as a warrant of fitness, like we are forced to do with our vehicles. We have to do it. We need to look at our bodies and our brains as dashboards. And if lights are going off, something's flashing, we're concerned about something, pretending it's okay is probably not the right approach. We need to go and have a chat.
Now, I should clarify for people as well, because I realize we just launched in with this being a topic we're very passionate about, the two of us, but this is in regards to Men's Health Week in particular this week, right? And so I know we've probably already touched on a couple of dimensions that Men's Health Week is focusing on, but can you give us a bit of broader context here, Kent? What are we looking at this week in particular that we're focusing on?
Yeah, Men's Health Week's been around since 2010, so I'm one of the ambassadors this year about getting the message out for what we've just talked about, putting your health first, engaging in your own health and taking the time to put yourself out there, because otherwise you run the risk of all sorts of chronic health diseases and mental illnesses that are completely avoidable. The message this week, Andrew, is to drive people to the Men's Health Week website, menshealthweek.co.nz. There's so many great tools on there. There's so many great resources. Mark Sainsbury and Tim Green have done a great job of stocking that website with a lot of great stuff. There's some really good research there. There's some great science there. But probably the best thing we can all do as individuals is go to the tab on the front, which is what's your score. It'll take 2 or 3 minutes. It's not a big test. 2 or 3 minutes, jump on the link. I would encourage all of your listeners to go and do that and just see what your number is. It could be anything between 18 and 90. 18 is super, super healthy. 90 is major problems that you need to address a few things. Hopefully your number comes up somewhere in the middle, and it's just a good marker as to what you might need to look at in your own life to be healthier, to be better.
See, I love that, because I think too often we boys, we need a bit more of a metric than feels all right, now doesn't feel good, right? And sometimes you're not even aware of the different stuff that might be factoring in like things like what you're eating, how much you're sleeping, how much stress you might be under, your social supports, all that kind of stuff. So, look, what are some of the concerns for you personally, though, when it comes to men's well-being?
I think so many, to be honest. And look, there's that phrase, pessimism of intellect, optimism of heart, or a variation on that.
Yeah.
Mentally and intellectually, you look at the health problems that we have in New Zealand and they seem like they're too big to overcome. But if we all gave up on that, we'd be the poorer for it. So I am optimistic that we have the tools to help ourselves one by one. I know what works. I know what's worked for me. I know what's worked for a number of the people that I coach. We have tools. We've got the answers. The problem, Andrew, is getting this out there on scale.
Yeah.
And if you look at our hospital systems and our wait list and the backlog for mental health treatment, it's probably never been worse and projected to get worse because of these are diseases of environment and of lifestyle. So they concern me greatly, but the optimist in me says we actually know the tools that will work. Prioritize good food. Try and reduce the amount of sugar and alcohol that you have. Don't eat as much packaged food. Try and get to the good stuff. The good stuff happens to be more expensive, which is a talking point and an issue in itself. Prioritizing exercise. We know the best thing for our brains is to go out and move. Putting sleep first and foremost. Putting our devices down at night. Putting the laptops away a couple of hours before bed so we wind down and have a great sleep. And the other one is connection and laughing. And we can only laugh when we're with other people. And more people than ever before have reported feeling isolated and lonely, and they don't have friends. And they think being on Facebook and Instagram is connecting with people. But we know that it's not good enough. We need kōrero. We need conversations like you and I are having now. We need to be with our mates. Go and have a beer. Go and have a coffee. Go and play a round of golf and talk and connect like that and share stuff. More men are sharing things about their own well-being than ever before, Andrew. So that's good reason to be optimistic as well.
Good stuff. Hey, I want to bring the girls in on this one as well, because let's be honest, guys. If you're like me, your wife is a huge part of you looking after yourself as well. I wear a lot more sunblock these days. You might be shocked to know now that I'm a married man. But what are some other ways too that the ladies listening as well can support their guys over the course of this Men's Health Week?
Great question, because the support network is absolutely crucial. So often when I talk to the men that I coach, have you got people on board? Is your wife on board? Is your partner on board? Most of the time the answer is yes. And we know that is gratefully helpful, is when someone is there with you who can bounce ideas off, who you can talk about your issues about, and who might just keep you accountable, keep you on track. So let's say that a man decided that he wanted to cut back on a lot of processed food. It might be really helpful if his partner or wife or girlfriend or flatmate or whoever decided to join him in doing that.
Yeah.
So they're doing it together. We know about the cliche, don't we, where old Colin's in his armchair doing nothing about his health, complaining about not feeling very good, and his wife is trying to elbow him in the ribs saying, come on, Colin, get yourself off to the doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, often we need that. We need that nudge. My partner asks me all the time, how you doing?
Yeah.
Is there something you need to get off your chest?
Yeah.
I get emotional. I need to offload. And it's good for her to know that it's a safe environment for me to talk about those things. So I think just encouraging our men to go and talk to the doctor. I think this message needs to be put through a bit tougher, Andrew, that it's not a weakness to ask for help.
Yeah.
It's not weak to feel rubbish and have bad days and feel depressed. There'll be a reason behind that. It's actually a strength to speak up and show a little bit of courage to go and ask for help, to go to the doctor, to talk to a mate. To be vulnerable is a strength. People will respect you for that and they will follow you for that.
Absolutely.
I've been to many conferences and group conversations where it takes one guy to be the first, to be brave, to put his hand up, to share a story. And what happens afterwards is that you get the most beautiful chat and conversation because men are standing side by side there for each other. So often we're scared to be the first guy to do that. But if we can be brave and see it as a vulnerability, which is strong as opposed to weakness, shift the psychology, that's a great way to go.
Mate, I love it. I love what you guys are doing, Kent, and I love that you made a bit of time for us today. But you mentioned some great resources as well. Maybe people have had their attention spurred a little bit more today. Where can they go to get this info we're talking about today?
menshealthweek.co.nz. That's the best website to get all of that information. Get on there, take your score. For what it's worth, Andrew, I did mine 2 days ago. My score was 30, which is, it's not bad, but could still be better.
Nice work. Love it.
Right.
Hey, Ken from Men's Health Week, thanks so much for joining us. And once again, Men's Health Week website. Google it if you can't remember what the details are. Just go Men's Health Week. It'll turn up. Have a look at those resources that are there. And why don't you make sure you're around for your friends, for your whānau, long into the future, boys. Amazing. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn your notifications on so you don't miss the next video.
We'll see you in the next one.